Are you ready for another Mates 3v3 m8s, the clan that is going to be supplying this 3v3 on Magmageddon? Because what other 3v3 map would you use? Well, you're not really going to use the other one because it's just plain silly. But we do have ImOutstandin as the orange allies in the top right side, and as the red empire we do have AA, and as the green empire we do have Eminence, and for the team left side we do have Messican, the blue Soviets, and we do have, as the yellow allies, who is, getting a crane drop down in his base, we do have Vindies. And as Proffloff is going to be our Cyan Empire in the bottom left side, we do have right versus left once again. And let's take a look at what these players are doing. This has got to be annoying for Messican. He is going to be getting cut off from that oil derrick right away, and of course, depending on the micro of these players, we will see who is actually able to claim that oil derrick, much like Vindies just claimed his. And look at that, Proffloff is going to be claiming his, and actually Proffloff doing something a little bit sneaky, trying to get Proffloff is trying to get Eminence's oil derrick as well, and Eminence did grab it first, but if Proffloff is able to get out an engineer, he can easily reclaim that, which means Eminence will have to get out another engineer, which will be super annoying and of course cost 500 credits, although he did get that cash back. But we do have AA grabbing his own, and well, ImOutstandin being a little bit sneaky and a bit of a jerk face to Messican, but that's the nature of the game. He is going to be grabbing his opponent's oil derrick, which of course you do get that one-time only offer of 500 credits cash back instant rebate. So if you get it back like Eminence just got his back, yeah, you don't get that money back, but you do get that 15 credits every few seconds, which adds up anyways. Messican is going to be expanding right here and then throwing down the super reactor for those hammer tanks most likely, although he could be going twin blades or just getting his tech on. And in the meantime, we do have Vindies going to be massing up a little bit of infantry, and Eminence is still having a little bit of trouble from this dojo core, and actually Proffloff, there we go. I was wondering why that Imperial Warrior was not attacking, but he just couldn't manage to take down a tank buster, and this tank buster is going to be slowly whittling away this building, and those two, I'm guessing they eliminated each other. Yes, they did. Just a little bit of lag left there, and that tank buster does go down. But what is this? Ooh, we do have, they're only bears. I was like, is ImOutstandin going to be taking some pain for what he did to Messican? Well, not quite. Wow, he does have 7 dogs just waiting there. And those 7 dogs could be chased by, whatever the old lady swallowed to chase the dog. Because she got to the cat and then, dog. Anyways, Proffloff is going to be going for that Mecha Bay, because what else are you going to be doing? But it does look like we also have an Imperial Docks, and already oh no, that's Eminence who's got those Yari mini-subs. They kind of look cyan under the water. So it does look like Eminence is going to be going out fishing and going to be finding this expansion out here and slowing down that ore collector, which is super annoying, but deciding to detonate that drone, which will, do a little bit of damage. But this Tengu is no match for that Apollo. As you can see, Apollos do not take very much damage from Tengus, and now that Tengu is going to get hunted down, so AA is going to lose that Tengu, and we do have the infantry combo with that airfield, which is right here, going to be out of Vindies, which Vindies, Vindicators, yeah, you saw that coming, I'm sure. But Yari mini-subs are going to be locking down the early expansion of Proffloff, which that is fairly early, though not super early considering he is that Empire faction that allows him to expand quite easily all around the map. And yes, he is going to be going for this. Messican is going to be going for that 4th base quite earlier than any of the other players. As just, no, that is not an expansion. That was an oddly placed expansion if it was. But as you can see, these other players, as I say, the only player, I did not see that water expansion for our red AA player. And red, oh no, that's okay, so we don't have any battles going on quite yet, although we do have some harassment going on. One Yari mini-sub is not going to be able to lock down that expansion for Eminence, as we may have infantry battles in the middle here, and that is an absurd amount of Imperial Warriors, and probably not a whole lot else for AA, although he is getting an expansion which would give him 5 bases, which would give him quite the advantage over the other players. And these Apollos need to get up into the air because they could be doing massive damage to these MiGs, but the MiGs are what I'm talking about. The MiGs need to get up into the air. They were able to take down one of those Apollos, and the rest of them do escape with that Vindicator. And we do now have this mass of walls, which really should be sold off just for that teeny tiny bit of cash back. And actually, one Mecha Tengu barely able to take down that one ore collector. And now, getting his revenge, Proffloff is going to be taking down that oil derrick. And Messican is getting pushed a little bit. He may have lost his MCV there, although he may have also sold it off. As just getting pushed, getting hammered, just having a hard time from his MCV, was able to escape. But ImOutstandin is outstandingly doing well with the push. He's, I'm trying to work some sort of outstanding pun in there, and it just didn't work. Puns on the fly can be quite difficult until you get that one golden pun that is quite outstanding, and that was not a pun, just a play on words. But 4 Mecha Tengus are going to be able to possibly take down this ore collector. Yeah, they do need to kind of surround it to prevent it from escaping, but it's not going to be enough because Eminence is now going to be able to take down this Mecha Tengu, which actually not able to do very much damage with just one of these Mecha Tengus. He will maybe leave. No, he does land all of those Mecha Tengus. He's not going to leave any in jet form mode to deal extra damage when these switch into jet mode. And Proffloff escapes on out of there, and he does have his infantry, is what I'd like to say, trying to do some damage to this base, not able to quite do it because of those walls from Proffloff. He's going to be setting those up, and twin blades, if these are full of flak troopers, which would be pretty crazy, not something you see very often, but it can be very, very effective, as we do have, Apollos are in the mix, and taking down one MiG nearly instantly, and 2 MiGs are now down, which gives a huge advantage to the Apollos for ImOutstandin. But Proffloff, Messican, on the other hand, is going to be dropping down some flak troopers, which are going to be able to do quite a bit of damage to those Apollos, and able to take them all out, and not even losing his last twin blade. Those bears are, of course, going to charge into there, and we do have possible huge battles down here between the slightly mech armies, but mostly infantry armies of these 2 players. And that one Guardian tank, what are you doing? I always mention that would be like the hero unit, or, the ballsy unit, but in this case, just a silly unit going to be moving forward into that huge army. And that one peacekeeper was like, I got a shotgun, I'll just take on this tank. It'll be great, guys. We do have more. Messican is just not able to catch a break here, but Eminence isn't quite able to either, as he is getting harassed. His ore collector is not able to do a whole lot, and not able to, have a good time and just collect their ore, which these players are doing a fairly good job of staying on top of that harassment. There's, not a huge amount of harassment, not necessarily 1v1 level of harassment, but there is harassment going on all over the place, and ImOutstandin has just been doing quite a bit of damage. First off, denying that oil there, taking it for himself. That's an additional 500 credits that his opponent should have had, that Messican should have had in his pocket, and now able to take down one expansion, push the MCV out to the back, not able to get out a 4th base, which means Messican back to 3 bases, while his opponent is just on that 1-2 base play, which, not very good. And that is in fact 3 bases, because if I would learn to count, then I would know these things. And AA going to be engaging our Cyan Proffloff, but Eminence is going to be helping out a little bit. They need to transform to finish off the rest of these Tengus, and that point defense drone support power is going to be doing quite a bit in the prolonging of that army and allowing it to do a little bit more damage. It might even just be beneficial to turn that Tengu around and just try and deal some damage, as at most that would force repairs, which would keep that Tengu off the front line. Eminence, on the other hand, going to be engaging here, going to be taking out this ore collector very quickly. The most he can do is maybe switch to that attack mode, and it does go down right there. Going to be throwing down a wall segment kind of late, possibly to try and trap some of them, but that wouldn't make any sense, as they can just fly over those walls. Tengus do that quite well. And we do have Athena cannons, which means tier 3, which means Vindies is out for blood, and which also means we could quite possibly see some heavy aircraft, which does look like AA is going to be pushing forward. And as you can see, Vindies is going to be pulling back, and AA needs to figure out if he wants to attack or pull back, because as you can see, his army is getting split up there, and a couple of javelin troopers do get run over, and this multi-gunner turret only gets off hardly a a single round of rockets off before getting taken down. 2 Athena cannons and a couple of Mirage tanks are out, and that Striker VX is like, hey, I'm here for the party, but he just kind of got taken out. But no sentry bombers yet, just those Vindicators for Vindies are going to be doing a little bit of damage, and a couple of Tsunami tanks getting cut off by this terrain. That can be, of course, very frustrating. Always have to watch out for that, getting taken out. And these Athena cannons, one of them at least is that veteran status, as yes, one of those Athena cannons is the expansion. So actually, this battle may be turning around, but on the other hand, the MCV is out, and he did finish that battle lab, which means Messican is going to be pushing forward with his MCV and absolutely no support, which, if you haven't seen any other Relic 3 games, you should know that that is usually a pretty bad situation, although making great use... Oh, taking a little bit of damage there from the B4, but making great use of that Terror Drone MCV combo, not something you see very often, but on the other hand, you don't normally see 3v3s very often, so... Great shout out to the M8s clan. Going to be, you know, doing a couple of 3v3s. If you missed the first one that I did, only able to freeze three peacekeepers, so that is kind of disappointing for ImOutstandin. He has been doing quite well this game, at least in locking Messican down and not allowing Messican to do a whole lot. But now we do have Apocalypse tanks out, so Messican can easily turn this around, especially since the economy for ImOutstandin is just now getting back on track, and as you can see, he is low on power, which you cannot reroute the power the same way you could in Kane's Wrath and CNC3, which is quite annoying, but we do have a slight engagement here. One Mirage tank may go down, and actually, where are these satellites going to be falling? Over here, the satellite's going to be falling on the Athena cannon. Perfect timing there from Messican. Going to be making very good use of that. And we do have Vindicators from Vindy going to be doing a little bit of damage to that Chopper VX. And then the Apollos are here to say, hey, you want to take off into the air? Okay, well, I'll just take you out there. Oh, what? You got no anti-air now? Well, that sucks to be you. But an expansion. AA not able to catch a break on this expansion. He did have it up for a little while now. He's just on that 4 base, that 4 expansion instead of 5, and trying to take down this Mirage, this Apocalypse tank, and just microing back and back. These Apocalypse tanks are quite slow, although they can be quite devastating, of course, if they run over their units. That is very annoying. He needs to push forward and try and take out that V4 rocket launcher so that he doesn't have any more of those disasters at his war factory like he had, although that was satellites. But B4s could do something very similar, and actually this Mirage tank taking a fair amount of damage from those tank busters in quite a big battle here, one of the biggest in this game, and these Tsunami tanks not doing a whole lot, not even running over infantry at the moment, if you've got them in that armor lock mode, then you should be running over infantry, and now the entire infantry section of Vindy's army has been run over. AA making good use of that, and this Athena cannon, what are you doing, Athena cannon? Run for it, you the hero Athena cannon, the heroic Athena cannon, and you threw your life away. So, you know what that means, Vindy's not being super vigilant on the micro, but doing pretty good anyways, and these rocks are not real. Do not let them fool you. They just showed up out of nowhere, and we're not the cool rocks at all. But we do have Mirage tanks going to be pushing forward, running over quite a few tank busters. That is absolutely devastating to AA's army. Look at all of those dead infantry. And wow, that kind of sounds like a psychopathic thing to say. Like, oh man, look at all those dead bodies. But now we do have Guardian tanks going to be mixed in with these Mirage tanks and Apollos and Vindicators. So this battle, which kind of was going in AA's favor at first there, got completely turned around in Eminence and Proffloff. I have been paying almost no attention to, but they have been having massive Tengu wars. You may have seen a couple of hit markers going on over here and over here, as both of these players have been engaging and doing that harassment, which is of course so important. And now Tengu wars, and just now using the Emperor's Rage. So Proffloff does have numbers, but that Emperor's Rage was a huge benefit for Eminence before his opponent used it as well, which means that Proffloff should be able to clean up Eminence down there, and well, not cleaning up Eminence, but at least clean up those Tengus from Eminence and pushing to the middle of the map where he's been set up for quite a while, which means he has been able to secure these 2 expansions that are in the middle, and Vindies has been doing quite well for himself, and now he is going to be pushing back the MCV, or at least forcing the MCV into action, which it could very well stand on top of this micro with that Mirage tank on the other hand. Not doing that a little bit earlier, but staying on top of the micro, allowing it to escape from the MCV, and the MCV is going to hack back up, possibly just to take longer to destroy, but taking so much damage from that Athena cannon, and the Athena cannon does fire again, locking that MCV down, completely destroying it. And what else do we have going on for Vindies? He has been kind of leading the charge for his team, as Eminence and Proffloff have been kind of at a stalemate, but now ImOutstandin is pushing once again into the base of Proffloff. Proffloff, the Apocalypse tank, is going to be what is going to save him, possibly, not if it keeps getting locked down time and time again, making good use of Terror drones to lock down the Guardian tank, and actually locking down not the veteran Guardian tank, just the epic Guardian tank, and Vindies has been throwing down base defenses, quite a few, at least 2 in his ally's base, and trying to keep his ally alive, and keeping this... Was that a double shrunk? That might have been a double shrunk before. I don't think so, though, on second thought. But these Athena cannons focus firing down that wall segment, because what do you really need to focus fire down? The wall segments, and... You know, the Apocalypse tank is like, hey, I may be mini, but hey, I'm going to crush this Guardian tank and eat it up, and this Apocalypse tank is actually tanking quite a bit of damage, and now Messican may very well get cleaned up, but that's okay, because ImOutstandin is doing a pretty good job, but AA is taking quite a beating from Vindies, and ImOutstandin doing a pretty good job. Might be able to completely clean up Messican here. He has escaped with his MCV, which, AA has been defeated. As you can see, Eminence has inherited everything, and this, of course, makes it much more difficult, because even, you know, he's got the production facilities, which actually no production facilities, but he does have the economy going on, which is a nice little boost for Eminence. He now has to try and micro 2 armies, which actually he doesn't, because AA doesn't have a whole lot going on. But if he did, you know, 2v3s, now where we are at in this situation, and Vindies throwing down all sorts of base defenses for his allies, so now we are almost to a 2v2. I wouldn't quite say that, just because Messican is still in, he can rebuild, and he can micro his own army, which is always difficult to do, because if you get stuck in a 2v3 situation like this, where your ally who left still has an army, then you have to try and micro your army and engage, and then micro the other army, and wow, ridiculous ridiculous Jet Tengu battles, and actually the splash damage from the dying Jet Tengu is actually doing a little bit of damage to that refinery. Always a good choice if you're in a bad situation. Just use your units as weapons, but we do have Eminence going to be able to clean up Proffloff here, although not going to be able to clean up these Striker VXs just yet, as if, because, you know, the Jet Tengus transform into Mecha Tengus, and then the Chopper VX, Striker VXs transform into Chopper VXs, so, you know, it's just what happens. And do we have, no, we have Cryo Shot going down in combination with a heroic MCV, may very well spell the end of our blue Soviet player Messican, and Messican deciding to freeze his MCV here, and by freeze I do mean halt, and not freeze at all. But ImOutstandin is going to be regrouping his ground army. His big opponent is now going to be the yellow allies of Vindy, and Vindy is going to be engaging with his Apollos, not his Vindicators, with these Tengus. Tengus do, of course, have that infinite ammo, but they do not fare very well versus the Apollos. Apollos are simply superior units, and the MCV does, in fact, go down. Still got a crane, and he is trying to build something somewhere. What is he building that's taking up so much? Never mind. What is this? We do have a barracks going down, which means he could just focus whatever remaining money he has left into infantry, and he is going to be throwing down a couple of wall segments to try and block off that one Riptide APC, and Vindy's going to be throwing down the Cryo Shot to freeze 3 of the MCVs. Too bad he can't do anything about it, and throwing down walls around the crane, that's not something you see very much, and it does look like basically out of money, and no way to rebuild his money. Might even need to sell off that super reactor just to get out a couple of infantry units. He is going to be selling off the crane. Might as well sell off the reactor as well, although Eminence is going to be pushing into Vindy's base, dealing with these Apollos. No! Dealing with the Vindicators instead, but multi-gunner turrets and Apollos are going to spell absolute disaster for Eminence as his Striker VXs go down, his Chopper VXs rain dead bodies down upon their allies. He is able to do quite a bit of damage, take out 2 maybe of the multi-gunner turrets, was able to take out the one, it was able to take out that second one, but now Proffloff is here and he's like, hey, I got this huge impressive air army, but you know, it's not doing anything right now, although the chopper VXs are, and combined with the multi-gunner and the other reinforcements from Vindies, he may very well be able to escape on out of here, and transforming in the middle of Proffloff's army is never a good choice. But now, ImOutstandin may start trying to push on the base of Vindies, and now Vindies kind of getting backdoored here, as actually able to get some credits. The oil derrick captured by our blue Messican player. We do have beacons going down all over the place, and this super reactor will eventually go down, making Messicans basically out of the game, although he is not actually. We do have quite the air army from our Cyan Proffloff, and he is going to be taking some damage while not dealing a whole lot of damage. He just has his Tengus sitting here, which he could of course transform those to deal even more damage, but they are distracting from some of the shots which are not being dealt to the actual damage he dealing units. He could, you know, take a group of 5 of them and transform them, or just hightail it on out of there and leave Eminence to his own business, because Eminence not doing too hot, although he's not in the worst position ever. He does control the waters, but as you can see by the map, there isn't a whole lot going on the waters. He is doing pretty good on the economy, although at this point, most of the ore nodes are probably near depletion, although as you can see, not quite, and going to be engaging a couple of infantry from Eminence, just getting totally owned. Not necessarily the greatest spot to engage, as you know, you only want to engage battles you can win, but you know, you can't win them all. So this single Mirage tank is going to be going to town on Eminence's. Oh, 0 credits a second, which is of course very lame for Eminence. Not something you want to be doing, but have these, no, the Riptides have not quite worked through that for ImOutstandin, and he is paying attention. So he is paying outstanding attention. If he turns around and finishes it off, I was going to say he needs to back him up out of the blast radius, but he did, and then he's not going to attack, so I guess he's not paying outstanding attention to that. Instead, he's going to be paying outstanding attention to this attack that's going on down here, and making excellent use of the cryo shot. Vindies was able to do massive amounts of damage to that army, and the Athena cannons are going to be moving in, but what does Vindies have to say for it? He's not even using his Apollos right now to take out the cryocopters, so that's a little bit disheartening, although he is engaging down here with Eminence. Is, you know, that's ImOutstandin is engaging down there. I didn't mean that our yellow Vindies is engaging down there. But anyways, we do have ImOutstandin going to be pushing into Vindies' base and possibly clearing him up. So even though Team Right Side lost a player first, they may be able to bring it out ahead, and this game has just been crazy back and forth as the MCV does get trapped between a rock and a hard place, or between, you know, one group of units who want to murder your face and another group of units who want to murder your face. Oh, never a good situation being. No, we do have transforming chopper VXs right into the mouth, into the guns of the, you know, jet tangus, which the jet tangus could now transform. Although the damage has been done, the MCV has gone down, and Yuriko is here, which jet tangus would be pretty good to deal with her, although she is quite good at taking down those air units and, you know, any other units that may be near her. And now flying into the King Oni would never be a good choice, but we do have a single Striker VX going to try and do some damage, but the Mecha Bay will go down, which would bring Eminence's production facilities to, you know, basically the halfway point where he's only producing off of 1 Mecha Bay, and instead going to be turning around to deal with Eminence's jet tangus, which are engaging here. And as you can see in the mini-map, Vindies has been cleaned up in the mid-ground. He lost his MCV, which means he cannot rebuild. He's basically only got money coming in at this point, which means he's basically out of this, as well as, well, Messican technically isn't out of it, but at the same time, neither is Vindies. But this battle is really what is going on down here, and ImOutstandin has been quite outstanding in this game, as he has been able to basically force, well, he hasn't actually taken anyone out at this point, so there's that. But these players are, of course, doing quite well in this game, but wasn't enough to hold the line. Proffloff losing his entire army there, only able to take out one mecha bay, not even able to get that second one, which is still producing at full capacity for Eminence. And ImOutstandin is going to be engaging now this instant generator, which is never a fair fight. Instant generators are just too kind to fight. They're, you know, they're the nano cores that are the pacifists, and they're like, I don't want to fight. Why do I want to fight? I'm a lover, not a fighter. They're probably from the 60s, but that's okay. They were left over from the Cold War or something like that, which, you know, the Cold War between the Allies and Japan. Everyone knows about that Cold War, but now going to be cleaning up these wall segments, which is always a priority, and ImOutstandin going to be using his unprotected Athena cannons, which, when you've got 40,000 of them like he does, it doesn't really matter, and using the Emperor's Rage, so I was like, hey, I'm not in this fight, but here, I'll help you out with a little bit of a support power. Kind of going crazy on what he wants to attack. ImOutstandin going to be messing up my mouse, but he is going to be, you know, he's not focus firing down anything, but he does have quite the army advantage in this situation, and I think Team Right Side has this in the bag just about, although Eminence is going to be calling in the final squadron to destroy Proffloff, which means, is this the last building for this team? No, because the barracks for Messican is going to be the last building, and there, Vindies has now been defeated, so Proffloff and Vindies have been defeated, but Messican, oh, I tried to say something, but I messed it up, and then Messican has left the game, so Messican has been defeated. I was really hoping Messican would be able to pull out the win, because that would be the most incredible comeback ever, with just a single barracks and a single oil derrick. And then on top of that, his enemies have like armies and like ore expansions and stuff, and he just comes back and crushes everyone with an engineer. His combat engineer is pretty good at shooting stuff that doesn't shoot back, that's also infantry and standing still. So anyways, let's take a look at that resource graph and see who won in that respect. In the long term, it was Vindies, despite being defeated in the end. But Vindies, as you may have seen, as I hope you saw, he did take that middle ground. He did have like 5, 6 expansions going on in counting those middle ground expansions, so he was doing quite well for himself, and as you can see, wow, ImOutstandin actually doing surprisingly well with the amount of units he had. Normally you see players throw him away a little bit more, but he almost with a 2.0 unit kill to death ratio, which, if you want to see the other stats, there they are for the efficiency ratio, which, you know, anyone who really cares for that sort of thing can look there. One more look at these graphs just to see the absolutely craziness that was going on here and the structures, and then we want to find out exactly 19 minutes was the length of this game exactly. So, this is Sybert signing out. Thanks to the m8s team, for sending me this replay and also for playing some very entertaining 3v3s.